Come join Libby and Molly, the ladies of Consignment Chats, as we build a resourceful community of collaborative resellers.
Hey y'all, welcome to episode 94 of Consignment Chats. Today we have one of our monthly favorites. We are with Samantha and we are doing a Samantha Speaks episode. Hi Samantha, hi Libby.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you ladies doing?
Good.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about today. So much to talk about. I think we just need to dive right in.
Our group is exploding.
Isn't it?
It's your group, but it's our group. It's a community.
No, it's our group.
Our group. It's
our
all
group.
of our group. Yes, absolutely.
We're one of those groups. It's all
if you don't know what group we're talking about, it is our private C-Chats, free private C-Chats community. It is Consignment Chats Community. You can check it out at consignmentchats.com. is where we go to talk shop and network with other resellers. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. There's a lot going on, a lot of good questions. All right. So where do you guys want to start today?
Samantha.
Me. I think a big one, another one came up this morning or through last night was naming conventions and how people name their businesses. So I just want to touch on that a little bit because there's been a lot of conversation on people wanting us to vote on their name, which I love. I love voting for names and the logos and branding things. So I just wanted to touch on a couple of things that we say each time they post these and some of the resounding messages. Make sure that your domain name that you're thinking of and all the usernames on all the platforms that you want to eventually be involved in, even if you're not involved with them now, make sure that it's available on all those platforms, because there'd be nothing worse than like, oh, I got a Facebook, but then the website's already taken, or
then I don't have, right.
Yeah, the eBay or the Etsy.
Or just reserve them all, like TikTok, even if you're thinking like you're not going to use it, whatnot. Just reserve the username. Just get it.
I've never posted a TikTok video, but I have a Sorting with Samantha TikTok.
It's okay. And try to make sure that that name stays consistent throughout. Like if you're doing it and you see that this isn't available, but you want to switch your name to include half of it, it's much harder to brand yourself across the board if you switch up your name on different platforms. So it's better to consistency is best.
So I can speak to that a little bit because I do the show notes for C-Chats and everything. And it is so frustrating when I'm tagging people and trying to find their usernames on a certain platform and I can't find it and it's not consistent. So even from that perspective, like I deal with that all the time. It's very, very frustrating to find people on different platforms.
I was looking at Etsy the other day and thinking about expanding to that. That's a whole other subject, but you can't change your username on Etsy. So other things like eBay and stuff, I was able to rebrand and change it over once I started selling. But there's some that I'm just going to have to probably delete it and start over. So definitely something you want to think of right off the bat.
Yeah, and if you think about deleting, I think part of the obviously the consideration in that is what kind of history do you have in that account?
I have zero on that one.
If you have zero history, then delete, go forward. But if you have a lot of history on your business and a lot of positive feedback, it would be really hard to let that go. So I think if you're in that situation, don't always just flat out delete unless you're doing a full rebranding and are okay starting fresh. But I do think sometimes there's some history you don't want to necessarily lose.
For sure. And then rebranding is a whole nother kit and caboodle because you have to think about what kind of feedback do you have? How are you recognized in the community? Do you really want to change that over? Are you going to do enough advertising to make sure people know you changed and that you rebranded? I'm terrible at follow through with we'll do XYZ. And then I make one post and I quit doing it. So I would be a horrible person to rebrand anything because it would take a long time for me to get it all out there and have people realize what I was and then now what I am.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I struggled with making that decision when I moved because the name of our business is Conchi Consignment, which was based in Conshohocken, and that's the name of it. So when I was I had to make that decision and we were already branded. And it was all right, do I go through all this or do I just stick with the brand? And I decided to stick with it because it was just too much of a nightmare and there was too much brand recognition to change it. And I think just making the decision and moving in one direction or the other is probably the great
Stick with
thing.
whatever you decide.
Right.
Yeah.
When you decide it, stick with it and own it. It's not difficult to rebrand. I mean, there are some things you have to do and definitely takes a little bit of time. But if you do it and do it right, it can be done well. And sometimes actually boost excitement in your business from a rebranding and boost business coming in because of the rebranding.
Yeah.
But it's not like relisting a stale listing, y'all. Don't think I'm gonna rebrand once a month to get my business flowing.
So much work.
But if there's something big that's happened with you, you've changed the mission of your business, you've changed, as Libby was saying, your location of your business, something that really, or you realize I started it like this before, but I didn't know what I know now. And now I see there's 700 businesses out there with my same name and sound. I want to stand out. Those are good reasons to contemplate a full rebranding. But, you know, those are good reasons. And don't, if you're on the fence, like Libby, like we just said, make up your mind and stick with it. But it's not undoable. It's doable if you, and you can do it right and do it well. So,
yeah.
And you can rebrand without a new brand. So I was sorting with Samantha because I organized and I went into your home and I sorted with you and I did all these things. And then I had to essentially rebrand, change my mission a little bit, and then kind of refocus and show people I don't go into your home and organize anymore, but when you bring me your things, I will sort through them and I will take care of them however I need to. And I just had to shift that. You guys talked me off the ledge on the changing my name part, but
I love your name and I love
that
you were able to switch your mission and it just worked. It just flowed that way because that doesn't happen often.
You did a great job with that. I mean, a really great job with that. Yeah. The other thing I just want to mention with branding, and I think people don't think about this, I think about it quite frequently, is the length of the name.
Yeah.
The length of the name and the characters. You are constrained on lots of platforms about how many characters you can use. So I would recommend keeping it short, keeping it sweet, and being able to say to somebody, like I struggle when I say my business is Conchi Consignment because I have to spell out CONSHY. And they got the consignment part, but that part, like you're able to say sorting with Samantha and somebody can type that in, they can keep it in their head. It's easy to remember. They're not struggling with like a funny spelling or pronunciation or any of that.
Right.
Yeah, that was my next thing on here was they need to be able to say it short and easy to remember. Yeah. Read it. Is your brand legible? Is your logo legible? So many people get fancy and I'm one that used to love fancy fonts. You can't read it. And then be able to pronounce it. Yeah. So,
and I think we had this discussion which I loved the discussion in our community about it. And somebody had brought up the Once Upon a Child is a longer name and that works. But I think too, if you go with a longer name, it works because it's something everybody knows once upon a time. So they just played off of a worldwide known phrase. So yeah, that's going to work. It's going to stick in your brain, Once Upon a Child, because it's such a common, everybody knows it thing. But I think things like sorting with Samantha, like Libby said, it sticks in your brain. I mean, and even if you wanted to say sort with Sam, you know what I mean? If somebody said, or you had to shorten it in something, but sorting with Samantha is so easy and it just flows. It just flows. So I think that flow, we had somebody today who had put theirs up wanting advice. And I thought their name flowed very well. I thought it was a real cute name.
Yeah. Hop into the community, check it out. I love it. I don't want to say it because I don't want anybody to take it because it's only in the free private community.
Yeah, I agree.
They're looking towards the future too. She's going to start with one model and then she already has an idea on how she wants to expand and do things. So she's incorporating that into her brand. And I like that.
And it allows that growth. So
definitely.
That's the other thing. You don't always want to chain yourself in like kids because you never know. Kids could easily turn into maternity could always turn into new outfits for the mom that just lost her baby belly. You know, it just
evolves. It evolves.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if this is a good segue. I'm going to throw it out there and see if we're ready for it. But evolving, pivoting, we were dealt a major blow this week. And so do we want to talk about that a little bit? And
I think we need to, because it affects so many.
Yeah.
I first of all, I feel terrible. I had like this process and I was like, guys, look at my process. And this totally changes it.
That's the world of e-commerce. So for those of you that don't know, eBay decided to discontinue their Shopify app. For those of us that post directly from Shopify to eBay, and it's a fairly automated process, they are discontinuing that as of December 31st, 2022. It's a large part of our business and our business process. And it's a good reminder that we had to be ready to pivot. I mean, e-commerce and everything changes so quickly. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the things we're used to doing. It still hurts. We're looking at alternatives. My alternative, I'm going to use it until the end of the year. And then I am looking at there's different options. There's different Shopify apps that you can use that are paid tools, that are third-party tools to provide that same automation. I'm going to look at those. I'm going to look at expanding my use of List Perfectly. I use it constantly every day, but not for that particular process. So.
Well, then eBay did this at the same time that they made everybody switch to their new listing template.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you have to click on each tab and there's little things that change, which overall the template and the listing thing is fantastic, but there's just so many changes and we just started Q4.
I know. Well, that's my thing. I get it. We want to change and evolve. And I think people don't like change at first, but later go, okay, this is all good. And every now and then there might be that one thing that, they really messed up on that one. But typically in the end, it's good. We just have to get through it. But my whole thing is don't do it in Q4.
I was really just like, all right, so the announcement came out, the second day of the fourth quarter, and it's ending on, just really.
So I had
in Q4. It just reminds me, like, I think of the road workers, right? Those states that do their road work on interstates at night are brilliant. The ones that do it at 5:00 in the afternoon, not brilliant, Change your selling platform in the summertime, not in Q4.
Yeah.
So I broke my own rule with this one because I had just started listing on Mercari. I got Poshmark, like I feel really comfortable with that. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, I'll start with Mercari now. Just planned on putting a couple things up, playing around with it because it's Q4. Things are going to start picking back up.
Yeah.
And then we got the email about eBay and I jumped on the List Perfectly train and went full bore into that. I've already deleted the eBay thing off of Shopify because then it was just going to confuse me as to what was linked and what wasn't. And I even went a little crazy and started looking into the Etsy thing. And then I was like, whoa, I just started 2 things in the same week. I'm already going against my own advice of one thing at a time.
Master one thing
at
a time.
One thing at a time. But I think that, List Perfectly, it just makes that easy to use a bunch of different platforms. Like you've mastered eBay, you've mastered Shopify. Like I think you'll be pleased and you'll be fine. And that's impressive how quickly you pivoted.
Yeah, that's very impressive.
Yeah.
Libby and I haven't had our big brainstorm session yet of ins and outs. We like to brainstorm, get a glass of wine, get on the phone, brainstorm.
Yeah. So we'll figure. I keep saying, major business changes because we are changing a lot with our website. I keep saying January is when we were going to start making those changes, but it looks like my hand is going to be forced a little bit to start thinking about it during Q4, which is really painful. Really painful. Yeah. But we have List Perfectly. Like we can, we use that. Like, all right, so we're pretty much fine.
Yeah.
It's just a little tweak.
Just a little tweak. We shall get through it. And then next season of our episodes, we're going to talk about the new flow, and we're going to go, oh my gosh, this is phenomenal. Look at this. And we were scared. Remember way back when we were scared, and look at us now.
Which, it was hilarious because people were asking in the community about different business processes. And I always say, check out our See It with C Chats episodes. If you guys haven't checked them out, check it out. They're some of our most popular episodes where we actually go through. Samantha's done one. I've done one. And A&B Consignment has done one, and it goes through the actual steps of the process. And it occurred to me that even though we recorded them 6 months ago, the next time we record, we need an update. It's going to look completely different. And that's how fast things change in this environment. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did my flow chart because you had done one when I did my See It with C Chats on how it flows from each platform. And I redid it mostly because I needed something to share on social media. But then and that's all I could think about was this change that we're going through. And then as I did it, I'm like, okay, this is more streamlined. This isn't too bad. And it helped me visualize it. And it's not so bad.
Okay.
We talked about in Patreon this month. So we do a once a month networking session, just a private. It's not recorded. It's just off the books where we can chat about whatever we want to chat about. And we talked a little bit about streamlining. And I want to do an episode about the why question. As we go through each step of our business and our process, I think we should start asking ourselves, why am I doing this? What is the purpose for each part of that process? Because there's always stuff we can eliminate that is sucking time.
Yes.
So I'm going to work on my whys.
Yes, definitely a good way to look at it and think about it.
Yeah. Which ties into the question you got in the community about tracking.
Yes. So someone had said they wanted us to talk about accounting tips and how to track. There's so many different platforms that we're all on, and how do we streamline that? And I am not going to answer this because I don't like my process and I'm still figuring it out. So this is all you guys.
This is all Libby.
I think this might be only. Okay. So number one, track what makes sense to you. Why are you tracking it? Some people like to track all the different fees of the different platforms. I take a more high level approach and I just do an overall for the month. Or sometimes it's for the year, depending on the platform. Overall, I do not track that I just track what something sold for, regardless of platform. If you're tracking all the fees, I can imagine, and I'm guessing maybe that's what she was doing and why it got to be so overwhelming. But you have to track what makes sense to you. Sit down, figure out what makes sense to you and makes you comfortable to track. If it's high level, great. If it's down in the detail, great. Figure out an efficient way to do it. We do offer consulting through Patreon. So if somebody wants a walkthrough of their process or anything like that, we can absolutely sit down with you one-on-one, check that out, and provide information. That question is so cool because I met with my accountant, who is also a Profit First coach, Jennifer Allen. And she is going to be a guest on our podcast. And she is so excited about working with resellers and providing them tips and tricks and just an overall view of what you need to track at the bare minimum. So thank you. I'm so glad she asked that question because it definitely spurred me to get Jennifer on the podcast. And she's really excited about it. She's very into what she does. She's just incredible. She's incredible. And the fact that she does Profit First, for those of you that do Profit First, is amazing. Mm-hmm. So be looking forward to that. And then it'll be in the new year because we're pretty booked up. Right. And we have to get our books closed out before we do anything else. And that way we don't have to add the disclaimer that we are not tax professionals and we shouldn't be answering these questions. So she is a tax professional and she can answer those questions. So we'll be asking in the community ahead of time if you have specific questions that you'd like answered.
So be ready.
Be ready. Yeah.
Awesome.
So what else? What else do we have?
I thought it was really
I
funny.
have more.
Someone shared with one of the name shops that they have in their town, and it's called Hidden Secrets, and it's a gift shop, and it sells like wonderful, cute little things. But because of the name, people think it's an adult store, and they don't go into it.
I'm sorry. That's exactly what I thought when you said that.
I just felt like that had to be mentioned because it was really funny, and you need to think about what your name means to the public.
Yeah,
right.
Think about how that's going to read out.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I thought that was hilarious.
I totally missed that. I didn't even see it.
Yeah,
So
there's
they're
like
either
a Bradford exchange and everything. Like,
Oh
they're
my
either
gosh.
up for a big rebranding or they're just benefiting from it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's working to their advantage. Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Yep.
all right, what do you guys have? That was the end of my list.
Oh, all right. That was good. Oh, wow. We got through a lot. Returns. We want to talk returns. That was a huge question in our community. We got a lot of responses on returns for resellers, but specifically for consignment and how we handle them.
Mm-hmm.
So we had almost the vast majority of brick and mortar stores said they do not take returns. We took returns in the brick and mortar for store credit. We also let people buy back their items at a discount if they consign something and they wanted to buy it back. We figured returns.
That consigner's remorse when you bring that handbag in and then 2 days later you're like, why did I let it go?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And online, we take returns. We take returns, and I think it just makes our customers a little more comfortable. We want people to be really happy with their items. It can throw a wrench in the works if you are short on cash, maybe, and you've already paid your consigners out, depending on what your process looks like. But that is my take on it, because we're all about like building that. It's not just a one-time sale. Like, we want a community. We want people to come back and shop with us. So that fits into our business model. What are your thoughts on that, Samantha?
Yeah, I do the same thing. I've noticed I get a lot less returns since I made my return policy and said that I accept returns. Yeah, like before I would get requests for weird things on different platforms, and now I have hardly any returns.
Right.
If anything, it's like weird Facebook sales where I send them and then they come back to me. I just had one of those where I sent it. It was like coffee K-Pods or something. And I sent them, and it was like a month later, they show back up on my porch, and this person emails me and they're like, I didn't get them. And I'm like, well, it says it was an invalid address. And so that was 2 weeks ago, and I haven't heard back from her. So I still have it in the box, but
interesting.
I
And
find
Facebook is like Facebook Marketplace or Facebook Shops?
Shops.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So with shops, I'm not familiar with the return policy on the shops. Does it go by your Shopify?
Yeah, it's right through Shopify.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like, and Facebook Marketplace, I've had that happen with 1 or 2 items. So Facebook Marketplace doesn't pay out until the item is delivered.
Mm-hmm.
So if the item isn't delivered, I don't think I get paid out. And if it comes back,
gotcha.
They're changing things all the time. So who knows what it is now.
Right.
Right. I mostly just do local pickup when I do Marketplace. It's for my bigger stuff or whatever. But now that I have List Perfectly, I'll be adding more stuff to that.
Right. After you master Macari.
Yeah. Macari might take a back seat while I try to master List Perfectly.
Yeah.
That's probably a good plan, because once you master List Perfectly, it's easy. It's just easy to push it out to the other platforms.
Yes.
But get that down, because nothing's worse than making a big change and making a little mistake in the beginning that you have to go back and fix. That's brutal.
I will say I got really spoiled with when something sold on eBay, it automatically marked it in Shopify and then Consign Cloud, and it was done. Like, I didn't have to worry about it.
Right.
And I was really hesitant with List Perfectly because it doesn't do that. And I noticed there's a lot of other people that had the same thoughts as me, and they're like, I won't join until that happens, which that was me like last week. I won't join until they do that. Pretty sure
Pivot.
It's like a ballerina.
So this morning I went in and I marked my sold items, which I was only shipping out like 4 things today. So it was easy to just go through. It's actually really nice. It's not that bad. I imagine when I have like a 25 day, it's going to be more stressful, but it really wasn't that bad. It's a couple clicks and it does mark it as sold on all the platforms. So it's just remembering to go in and hit those clicks. Yeah. It's not as bad as it's not as scary as I thought it was going to be. So
I just do that every morning. I just pull up what my changes were in Shopify, go over to list perfectly, adjust the inventory, end it on the other platforms. It takes, I mean, for 20 items, it probably takes about a minute an item, I'd say. Yeah. So not bad.
I love when you have times for things. I love it. A minute an item. And every minute costs you how much?
That's why my time blocking works.
Back on the return thing, I'd be curious to know from these brick and mortar stores that take returns, the ones that do, what their process is. Like, how long do they hold on to the items? Because when I hear that, I think about when we were in the store taking returns, and I'm mixing up returns with pickups in my brain. This is what happens when you have no sleep, y'all. I'm mixing two different subjects. I was thinking about item pickup versus returns, because that's another question. That was another subject I would love to hit and find out. What do people do that return inventory back? What do they do with that inventory? How long do they keep it?
Another option that we would do occasionally, we didn't get many we got hardly any returns in the store, but one of the things we do is let that person reconsign the item. So boom, we have a new consignor we can introduce, welcome into the family. They're welcome to, reconsign it. Often they would become consignors after that when they got familiar with the process. So that's another way to kind of pull people in and take a return without actually losing anything in the process.
About that. I like that.
When I didn't do anything online and I was only local, put pickup and stuff, I was just Facebook. People, very rarely, but people would say, I bought this item and it doesn't work. I put batteries in, it doesn't work. And I would say, well, I tested, I did XYZ. Most of the things I sold were as is, and it stated that. But then I would give them a store credit. And I would give them here's $10 to use in my store to make up for this issue. And I mean, if it went back and forth, I would say, just bring it back. It worked. It's fine. But normally a $5 or $10 credit, and they were happy, and they hardly ever used it, but they were happy. And if they did use it, it's going right back into my store. So it was usually a win-win.
Yeah, it gets more eyeballs on your items for sure, because you have that, $10. Yeah, we found a lot of people never use their store credit.
Yeah. Not me.
That's okay. I unpackaged my Conchi consignment things today and got my lovely little note from you with coupon code, and I've ordered 4 or 5 times from you guys, and I've never used the coupon code. I'm like, what am I doing?
I do.
Gotta use that coupon code.
Yes,
and the necklace looks lovely. You said you got your shirt from another consignment store?
I did when I stopped. It's all roughly when I stopped in Indiana on my vacation. I got this at the New to You store. I think it was Anderson, Indiana. I forgot about it. I found it in my closet yesterday.
We need to find them and we can tag them on here so they can see you sporting their shirt.
Yes. And I have my Molly designed a come chat with us consignmentchats.com shirt.
I love it.
That I'm going cash with today.
And I'm wearing just a plain t-shirt, y'all.
When's that merch coming available? What do we got?
Put Molly in the hot seat. Put her in the hot seat.
Not Q4. Not Q4.
Not in Q4. That'll be a new year. New year.
So we do have, since this will be released, we will be at the Boss Reseller Remix when this is released. Molly and I will be there. And Samantha, you're attending online?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we will all be there, 2 in person, 1 online. Mm-hmm. And Molly had designed something that we will be taking with us. So if we haven't run out and you're listening to this from the Boss Reseller Remix, check it out. Come see us, and hopefully we have one left. Do you have one up there? Or?
I have the
What is it?
first ones, not the real.
Not the real ones.
Yes.
Okay.
They're downstairs where they can be packed, so I don't forget them when I leave today. Should I show the other one?
Yeah, sure.
Now the other ones, these are smaller, y'all, and harder to read. See, it doesn't show here. Hold on. We always had this problem in our live selling, remember?
Yeah.
The other ones you'll really be able to read very well, but they are pins, and they say, "I love chatting with Consignment Chats" on them.
Cute.
The ones that we have are bigger and a little bolder, so it'll be better.
Right. And Molly will be posting a picture of those up on social media. So hopefully you guys will have. Samantha, of course, there is one reserved for you.
We have one saved for you.
Take one right out of that and make sure Samantha gets it.
Thank you.
Yes.
So,
well, yeah, that'll be exciting. I mean, here we are knowing that when this airs, we'll be there, but exciting. Get to grow our brains more and meet more people in the industry, which is always fun. Always fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
all right, ladies. What, did you have something else to say?
Oh, I didn't know if you wanted to touch a little more on the expired items, or when you say things are going back to consigners. But yeah, I think that's a whole other ball of wax.
I've been thinking about that, but I think it's a whole nother episode, and we might have some more deets on that coming up in the near future. It's just been on my mind.
It's been on your brain.
About it often.
Yes. Clearancing inventory, making room for the new. There are some exciting options coming up. I can't wait to share with you guys.
I know.
Yeah, because we know it is a pain point for a lot of us.
Yes.
Samantha's got it all figured out with her process, but the rest of us might need a little.
We're going to add something else into her world too. Another option that we're going to add into her world. So just stay
not
tuned.
This week, please. She looks like she's gonna.
Right.
Not this week.
My husband.
Just stay tuned.
I did my weekly clearance, and I auctioned some things, and a lot of it sold for $1 a piece or whatever. And I was clearing it out of my room and bringing it downstairs to deliver or whatnot. And then I had my Goodwill pile of things that get donated. And my husband goes, $1? You sold this for $1? And I'm like, yes. And it's out of this house, and I don't have to deal with it anymore. Leave me alone.
I know. I'm getting ready to do the same thing. I've got inventory I need to move.
Yeah, so I'm going to get Molly on. I did our first whatnot sale just so I could try it out for you guys and let you know my thoughts on it. And so I put that video up. And it's all set. Check it out. I think we are definitely going to use it to clearance our items.
Yes,
and
I will definitely
off-brand. We will not be promoting it through Conchi Consignment. It will be Conchi Consignment is doing the sale, but it is not going to be part of our brand. It is going to just solely be used for clearance.
Yeah,
but it was so fun.
Listen, I went down the rabbit hole the other day, like I told you, and I was in one sale after the other. Doop, 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 doop. I just love looking at different selling styles, just how they do it, what they do. It's interesting. Yeah.
Very.
Definitely a lot to be learned. A lot of, I should do that. And a lot of, that's not really for me,
Yeah.
So I haven't watched that episode yet. So when you say off-brand, are you allowed to then direct people, like put a card and things in the packages that you send out, or direct people to your website, things like that?
You know what? I don't know the answer to that. Not in the sale itself. They want everything to stay on the Whatnot platform, obviously. So I'm not sure.
We'll have to look into that. That's a good question.
Yeah, because that's a really good question.
That's a huge driver to my website. Is my Facebook auctions is sending that info out. So
that's a very good question. We need to ask. Yes, for sure. Especially since we're in the habit of putting those kind of things in our shipments. A habit, we might do it. We need to
I put a business card in there and a logo thing, but I didn't, because I didn't know if it was allowed, and I just did it spur of the moment. But yeah, that's definitely something we need to look into before we do. I'm thinking after we get back from Boss Reseller, we'll do a consistent weekly live.
Yes, because I'll be ready to move my inventory, y'all.
Yep.
Yep,
All right.
Yep. Hey, take a minute before you sign off, y'all, because we're getting ready to go. We got stuff to do. Take a minute, like, click bells, ding dings, push, review, all that good stuff, because it really does help us out. We love being able to bring you this content for free. In return, we just love for you to give us a good rating and make sure you follow and like our platforms that we put
our stuff.
Our stuff.
ConsignmentChats.com.
You like our stuff, and if you want to find it all and support us all, you go to ConsignmentChats.com. There you go.
All right.
All right, girls. Until next time.
Cheers.